Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Good day, and welcome to the show on this 30th of August, 2020. It's a Sunday. Listen, guys, I think the odds of percentage of a mania, an actual mania starting out in silver, has moved up greatly from what it was. You know, when I first started, I've been talking about this for years, but I never really talked about a mania. I can actually see the potential in the next number of months for a mania to begin. And, you know, for these silver manipulators and for the people who regulate silver and the silver industry itself and the miners and everything else, they're not prepared for this. Just like the world was not prepared for what happened this year with this virus. They said they were prepared, but they're not prepared for this, what's coming. I think it's going to be a silver mania, and I'm going to go into some of the reasons why. You know, one of the big fundamental reasons, though, why, is silver, the price has been determined for the last number of years through manipulation in the paper markets. The papers determine the price. But, you know, it's supposed to represent the underlying asset. Well, what if you don't have any underlying asset to sell? How can you have a paper market without a physical market? Because the paper is absolutely valueless without the underlying asset. Absolutely valueless. It's worth a big fat zero if the underlying asset doesn't exist. Now, you know, there's an awful lot of silver out there in the world. People have hoarded it. But right now, most everyone who has any amount of silver or any silver, even if they only got 1 ounce, they're sitting there holding that, and they're starting to realize that they're holding an asset that they don't want to sell even though the prices went up. They don't want to sell it back into the market. And as the price moves up higher, they're going to be even more reluctant to sell it back into the marketplace. And where's the silver supply coming from? The miners. So you got these mints right now. And they're in there and they're saying, okay, we got to have social distancing and we got to follow the protocols for COVID, and so production is way down from the mints and everything because of what's going on with COVID. We got to have separate distance between the workers and all this. Yeah, but you know what the real underlying reason is why they're not cranking those machines up? Is the actual silver supply. If they're going to mint a whole bunch of coins, they need a steady supply of the actual underlying metal. Again, to mint those coins. So let's trace it back a bit further. The initial product that they use around the world for silver is they create these 1,000-ounce bars. They're a great big lunken bar. They weigh about 70 pounds each. Big thing. They're big bar. But this is what they use. And where does those bars come from? Well, they come from the miners. I hate to think this year what mining production is going to be for silver. Absolutely going to drop off a cliff. And so what's been supplying silver over the years into the market is these mines. If you've bought silver in the past, say you bought silver back in 2013 or 2015 or whatever, that silver come directly from a mine. It was in the ground probably 3 months before you bought it. They take and they dig those big rocks out of the ground. They run them through a crusher on conveyor belts. They crush them down into like what they call 4-inch oversize, which is 4-inch stone. Then they crush them down again into 2-inch. And then they crush them down again. They keep crushing them until they're powder. And they put that powder in big vats, and they got big stirring machines to stir it. An awful lot of the work is done with conveyor belts, excavators, and mining machines. They're big machines that get big heads on them and the big teeth, and the teeth dig into the ground and pull this ore out and they run it up conveyor belts, and then they put it in these big slurry bins, and they add chemicals to separate the silver from the, it's a long, lengthy process. But the end result is they get these 1,000-ounce bars. And then that's what supplies industry around the world. It's these 1,000-ounce bars. Well, I've got a sneaking suspicion, because the mines aren't producing. I'm going to say, I'm thinking to myself, the mines are be lucky if they produce 50%. But this is what's been keeping up. Is the mines over the years, all the silver that you buy is come from the mine. All of a sudden the mines, now the silver you're buying right now, if you go in and you want to buy some Eagles, it was probably mined last year. They're going to run out of that. They're going to run out. Because there's no fresh new mine supply coming in this year. And this is probably the reason why these mints are so happy to practice social distancing. Yeah, sure, send the rest of the guys home. We're only going to have 2 guys working today. Because they know that they haven't got the underlying supply to keep up anyway, so they can blame it on COVID. Say, well, we got to keep up these social distancing in the mints because of the disease and everything. We can't produce at 100% capacity. We can only produce at 5% capacity, whatever, because they know that that's all they got coming in is 5 or 10% of what they had coming in before. So what does this do? Well, there's not as many coins going out. If there's not as many 1,000-ounce bars coming in one side of the door, or blanks that they produce, and they're not producing as many coins on the minting machines going out the other side of the door, right? Well, what about your coin dealer? He's relying upon those new coins coming from the mint and stuff and to keep up with your demand. If just the smell of this starts to go out there from guys like me talking about it, and people start to see the real value in owning actual physical silver compared against the dollar and what they're going to do to the dollar, which is maybe I should talk about that a little bit. You know, I'm going to tell you guys straight up front and honest to goodness, there's absolutely no getting out of this. The longer you keep your investment in dollars right now at this point, the longer you wait, the more it's going to cost you. Because the Fed has changed their mandate. They were seeking 2% inflation, and then they were going to try to raise interest rates or whatever they were going to try to do, That's all out the window now. Now they're going to let it go above 2%. Above 2% is very, above 2% where? 3%? 4%? 5%? 6%? Who the heck knows? This is a target that they're shooting for in inflation. Well, if you go to John Williams at Shadow Stats, the inflation level is already way higher than their calculations. They changed the calculations. And by the way, I'm going to tell you what, at Shadow Stats, all he did to get his calculation of inflation was go by their calculation of inflation the way it used to be, before they changed it into something new. Their new calculation doesn't make any sense anyway. So you can go by John Williams, he's more on the money, and he's probably being conservative about the real amount of inflation. They're going to eat away your purchasing power through inflation, and then they're going to bring out a digital currency. They got an act in place already that's ready to go through and be passed through government, called the Banking for All Act, where they're going to digitalize the money. And once they digitalize the money, they don't even have to produce cash anymore or anything. And they can just, with the flick of a mouse, they can just create more money units to their heart's content. And there's no end to how far that they can keep inflating these dollars, inflating all of your hard-earned money away in your savings, right out from under you. They can steal it right out from underneath you in the bank while you're sitting there looking at your account, how much money you have in there. It's actually worth less and less day by day. And so the longer you want to sit on that, before you finally decide, hey, you know what, I'm going to put this into something that's going to go in the opposite direction. Well, a lot of people have been trying to do that. A lot of people have been trying to escape. Why do you think the stock market's been going up so high? Everybody's involved, even little kids. They got an app on their phone. You know? Robin Hood, little Robin Hoods everywhere, playing the stock market. Well, this has happened before in history. Maybe not quite to this extent. But in 1929, everybody was involved. And they could take loans out on margin, and they were making a lot of money on the stock market. And they were all involved, and all pumping the stock market up higher and higher. This is the first time since 1929 that we've seen the masses involved in this it's now a digital Ponzi scheme, the market. That's all it is. And, I believe it's heading for a crash. But here's the thing. I also, at the same time, believe that silver, not so much gold, I believe that there's enough gold in storage where they can actually just haul some out of storage. They've got vaults full of gold all over the world. If silver is the one, they don't have all this silver in storage that's available for sale. I've been saying this for ages. The numbers that matter are not the amount of silver that's out there. There's a lot of silver out there, but it's privately owned. What really matters is the amount of silver that they can get their hands on that is available for sale into the marketplace. And most of that comes from the mines. And we all know what the mines have been doing lately. They're going to have the worst year on record ever for the amount of silver that they produce this year. And we're not going to feel the effects of that for a few more months down the line. But the timing, this is a perfect storm, guys. People are starting to get excited about silver and the precious metals, and they want the real thing. They're going to run out of silver. I can just see it coming. And I've been talking about this for years, but what happens when everybody wants something? Everybody and their dog wants something for an investment, and there's none available. You guys have seen this happen, I remember years ago, the PlayStation, everybody wanted a PlayStation. And there was an Elmo toy, I think, one Christmas. Everybody wanted it. Okay, and they're going to every store. They would go to Target and go to Walmart and everything, try to get this Elmo toy or whatever. These different toys at Christmas time. Oftentimes, all the kids want it. What happens when they run out and there's none available? People start selling it like on eBay, and for massive amounts of money. They go into the store and there's the last one. They fight over it. It's Elmo toy or whatever, plush toy. And they'll pay like $28 at Walmart. And they'll run out the store with it under their arm in the bag, and it's like they just robbed the bank, and they're running out of the store. And then they go and they put it on eBay. $7,500. Then some Chinese investor buys it off of them. And they only paid $28 for it. This is the same thing that could happen with silver. Everybody and their dog wanting it. None available. I'm laughing because there will be silver available once the price hits a certain price target. But these people out there who have silver and are going to watch this happen. Now you guys know I've been forecasting this for a long time. And I've told you guys that we're going to see days where silver goes more than $3 in a day, up. But I think we're going to see multiple days like that. And I can see it going into a mania. Not only a mania, I can see it going into a bubble. A monster bubble, bigger than the bubble that the stock market's in. Silver. Surpassing its old highs. Blowing them out of the water, the old highs, because the old highs were the sort of thing where maybe you hit $45, a few years back. And by the way, that would be equal to like $600 now in purchasing power, And the thing about it is But it only stayed there for like a day or two, you know. And if you didn't get in and sell it, I mean, then it shot back down again. It was like almost like the opposite of a flash crash. You know, it goes up to a certain level, then falls real quick. Not this time. This time, the mania is going to come, and the mania is going to stay for months and months and months at unbelievably high levels. So you'll have plenty of chance to sell your silver, but nobody's going to be selling. Everybody's going to think to themselves, it's going to go higher. Why should I sell? It's going to go higher. And it will go higher. It will go higher because nobody's going to be selling. And there's going to be none available. This is what I see coming. I can see, and I'm not going to say 100% sure that this is going to happen, but the likelihood of this happening has just increased exponentially. The likelihood of it happening. I say the percentage of this happening is quite high right now. Because where are they going to get it? The new supply. The mines are all shuttered. And bar and coin demand right now is shooting up like crazy because people are starting to smell it. That there's not enough out there, not enough supply. And anybody who's got it is thinking to themselves, hey, you know what? The price is still cheap. Considering something that's going to disappear. This is a perfect storm, guys. We've been waiting for this for years. And it's just, I think we're right on the edge of it. The silver price, you know, looking back in history, we might look back and say to ourselves, you know, back when silver was still $20-something. Just before the big silver crunch, the big silver shortage. You know, and yeah, silver price would come back down. Once it goes up to a certain level, where the price point where people start coming in selling their silver, and the mines, the COVID starts to disappear, and the mines start opening back up again, you know, it will come to an end. But you'd never see it come back down to these prices again. If silver goes up to like $200 in the peak of the mania, $300, I don't know how high, but way high during the peak of the mania, it'd be something like what happened during the Hunt Brothers. You know, silver goes way high. And then what happens, the mines start to open back up, and silver supply starts to trickle back into the market, and you can buy new freshly minted silver and everything again. Then the price will start to come back down again because people are going to sell back into the market who have had silver. And in fact, there'll be silver everywhere after a while, and the price will be starting to come back down. This is what always happens, you know. There's a peak and then it comes back down. But it'll never come back down to $27. If it goes up to like $300, it'll come back down. It might come back down to like 87 or something like that. It'll never come back down to 27. Forget that. And you know, if we go into a hyperinflation, it might never come back down ever. You know? It might only come back down against other assets like itself. Like maybe cryptocurrencies or Bitcoin or gold, you know? But this is huge, what's happening. And I've been preaching silver for years, but I've never seen anything like this. I didn't think it was going to be this intense back when I was talking about a silver shortage. What's developing? I didn't think it would be this intense. This is the perfect storm developing. I can see it. This is like a Category 5 hurricane for silver. You know, and anybody out there who understands how silver works and everything, and how you have to have it. Apple iPhones, you know, what's Apple's valuation right now? 2 trillion, 3 trillion, whatever. They're going to have to stop their assembly lines if they can't have silver. You can't make an iPhone without silver. Come on, guys, all these tech stocks. The key is silver. They have to have silver. All tech runs on silver. They can't even fight a war now without silver. Every time they make one of those cruise missiles or whatever, it takes 100 ounces of silver. Anyway, listen, guys. Have a great rest of the weekend. Give me a thumbs up, and we'll catch you guys in the next show. Bye-bye.